So we appreciate everybody showing up today. We're going to talk a little bit about introduction to field service. I got to tell you, Kyle, I'm really kind of pleased our session. Yeah. We're right after lunch. Normally, Kyle and I get like first thing in the morning, right after the party. So we're the 9 a.m. Friday morning session, or we're right before beer. So it's us or beer. So I'm very glad that you guys actually are just in a food coma instead of having to run off to more important things.
Contending with lunch.
Yes, we're okay with lunch. I mean, I ate lunch in there. We're not competing a whole lot with lunch. Today's session is an introduction to field service. So just kind of you guys are aware, and everybody here in the room is aware, this is not going to be a super deep, super technical. We're not going to go through and pull a bunch of things from a technical perspective. We're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk a bit about the business aspect of why field service makes sense from a business perspective. We're talking about how Microsoft fits in that field service perspective. And then Kyle's going to go through the product itself, what's changing, what's being added. But this is, again, kind of level set you guys and everybody in the room. This is not going to be a super deep, we're not going to open Visual Studio at all during this session, I hope. Right, Kyle? No Visual Studio. And so this is just kind of make sure we level set here. There are some other sessions this week that do go a little deeper in the weeds, but this one here is 100% introduction to field service. So this is probably one of my least favorite words in the past decade or so. We've been saying digital transformation. But I think when it comes to field service, this actually makes sense. Because when you look at what's required for digital transformation to happen, field service and Microsoft Service Platform hits on all four of these areas. It requires engagement of customers. It requires optimization of our operations. It requires your products to be transformed and added to. And it requires your employees to be empowered. So when we look at those four pillars really kind of come into what we call a digital feedback loop. So we're getting signals across all our business. If you think about the number of signals the average organization gets, it's huge. And we're going to show today how, for example, connected field service, we're actually able to pull signals in from IoT Central, IoT Hub, operations, as well as our CRM system, and the end result being the employees. So it's really about capturing the data. Let's be able to take that data and make sense of it. So it's okay for data to happen in different silos, but how do we kind of synthesize that data and munge it together to make sense for how we're doing business with it? And then last but not least, and especially on the IoT side, it's really around actions. How do we drive a business outcome based on the data that's being fed into us? So when you think about digital transformation, the next step of that is really taking this feedback loop and making sure that all the data we have goes across the organization and helps hit all four of those areas for us. So what we hear from customers talking about field service is actually pretty interesting. And it all kind of depends upon who you talk to in an organization. It depends on what you hear from that organization. Field service itself, if you start at the technician level, and when I first I've been doing field service through various tools for a while, but I took up here at Microsoft about 2 years ago. And the one here about the technician, I need better information on site. Literally, I had one of my salespeople say, yeah, my customer sends out texts. And I'm thinking, okay, they get a text saying, go visit this customer, do these things. It was literally a text that said this: go to Microsoft, fix an elevator. That was the entire stream of conscious from the company to the tech. So the tech had to show up on site and basically had no idea what he or she was doing until they actually got through it. So this is kind of what we're hearing from people. And again, it depends on who you're talking to the company, depends on what we actually hear from them. And those things that really line up next to our industry. So this is actually an industry slide talking about what's going on in industry as a whole. When you look at field service as a whole, there's four things really going on here. And I think Microsoft helps with these four things. The first one is really, and I know this is the wordiest slide ever, generating service revenue commensurate with value created. It just rolls off the tongue, right? What that really means is, for so long, we've taken field service offerings and we've sold them as blocks of time, or we've sold them as cost plus. What we're seeing today is actually differentiated field service offers, where companies are actually changing the way they do business and offering a value different depending on where they are and who the customers are. We're seeing adoption and consumption models, and we'll talk about that outcome-driven in here in a few minutes. And then we're seeing it also based upon customer satisfaction. So really, the first thing we're seeing is the way our customers pay for and get paid for field service has actually rapidly changed. The second thing we're seeing is that service delivery is being optimized, whether it be via outsourcing, and depending on where you are in the globe, outsourcing is a four-letter word or not. But we're seeing a lot of marketplaces of vendors where we're not just having our employees or we're having tight contractors. We're actually putting things out to basically a bid, if you will, out to a wider berth of people. Utilization. Just driving, we'll get this in a minute, just driving up technician utilization by 1 or 2% has a huge impact on your company's bottom line. And reducing spare parts logistics costs. Does anybody want to guess what kind of money is spent on spare parts logistics? Lots is the answer. One of my customers I work with, partner I work with, they did a survey and they actually started measuring packages that went to hospitals. They had that piece of equipment that you prepared in hospitals. And once they would ship a piece of equipment to a hospital, 12% of that equipment disappeared. I would FedEx it to the hospital. Somebody would sign for it in the hospital. Because Bob Tech don't know who Bob Tech is, they would throw it in a corner. When Bob Tech would come say, hey, I need this piece of equipment, nobody knew where it was. 12% of the equipment basically went missing. So if you will, 12% of everything I shipped to a hospital just went gone. So reducing that spare parts has been a huge thing. The other thing we're seeing is a lot of remote services. We think about IoT from the perspective of, when I talk about IoT, everybody goes to their home, right? You have the Nest thermostat in your house, you have the Ring doorbell. But think about the ability for an industrial IoT company to be able to command and control that device without actually going out there. What's it cost to roll a truck? If you think about the cost to roll a truck, it's usually around $200 a truck roll. So every time I put a truck into a field to go do something, it's about $200, roughly, give or take. And so how do I reduce the amount of truck rolls I do? Can I command and control that IoT device remotely so that I can actually fix it without having to dispatch a technician? We're also seeing mixed reality. Has anybody been into the remote assistance booth with the HoloLens? Phenomenal. Being able to command and be able to have, I am remote, you are on site, and I'm looking at it going, oh no, you need to check that box and check this box. That's a huge thing for companies globally because it really reduces the amount of time it takes to do a job, increase the first time fix rate, which we'll get to in a second. The last two things we're seeing is one is talent management. I don't care who you are. Field service organizations do not have enough talent today to backfill the talent that's retiring. People that are retiring, they're retiring faster from field service jobs than we're filling them. You're also seeing a lot of what, again, I'm old. When I went to school originally, Votech was everything. You went to school and you went to Votech and you became a mechanic or you became an HVAC tech. Those Votech jobs, for the most part, gone. Those are the jobs we need for field service. So we're seeing a lot of problems around talent management, getting the right people back in the company to make our companies effective. The last thing we're seeing is service strategy. For the long time, one part of the company made the products, one part of the company serviced the products. And those two parts of the company never talk to each other. Kind of like Microsoft R&D and sales. Oh, wait. They don't ever talk to each other, right? They kind of did their own thing independently of each other. And so what we're seeing now is alignment of service strategy into the overall company strategy. So service becomes part of the output for manufacturing. Manufacturing takes feedback from the services team. So that's what those last two are really kind of organizational cultural issues. And the ones up above are, again, this is kind of what we're seeing, though, as the industry as a whole across this. Field service, though, has become much more important to customers, especially manufacturing customers, because they manufacture or services. They manufacture the part, they just throw it out there. Now customers are expecting an end-to-end solution that works. So what does field service do to help? So the first thing is, the industry average for a first-time fix rate is 74%. Is that good or bad, do you think? You have an opinion? So 3 out of 4 times I'm right. Is that a good batting average? Not really. Now let's do the math here. If I move this from 74% to 80%, and I have 500 field service techs, averaging $200 a truck roll, what is that 6% increase in first-time fix rate? What does that do to my bottom line? Anybody has a guess what that number is? $2 million a year is the difference between a 74% fixed rate and 80% fixed rate. $2 million a year for 500 techs. 500 techs is not a huge field service organization. That's a fairly mid-sized field service organization. So just fixing the first-time fixed rate automatically gets you $2 million a year in added value. But as part of that, though, technicians lack the right tool or part. How often does a technician get dispatched? Just because he or she's the one that can meet the SLA. Technician runs out of time. They don't know the information they're supposed to get. One of my customers, 80% of the calls coming in their call center were from technicians asking questions of the call center. 80% of the calls coming in their call center were from their own internal techs. That's, you know, because they didn't have the information they needed to do it. And they didn't have enough expertise to solve the issue. So these are really some areas we're seeing customers talk about. But starting with field service, if you're a manufacturing customer, or if you're looking at going that way, is important because we help fix those issues. So what are the issues we're actually fixing with field service? For the most part, it's not enough, too much time traveling, not enough time working. Have you ever seen, let's say you have 5 work orders. I call it a star. They start on the bottom left, go to the top right, drive down the bottom right, drive over the top left. They make a star pattern instead of driving around in a circle. Technicians spend more time driving than they do actually working. We don't understand how to manage or support field service contracts. I'm selling a preventive maintenance contract. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't manage that renewal. It's outside the bounds of what I normally sell. We don't do it. A lot of field service companies are constrained by their back office capacity. Ideally, what's your percentage of dispatchers to technicians? I mean, you'd love a 5% to 95%, right? 95% technician, 5. Yeah, the industry average is about 80%. 80% of everybody is technicians, 20% are back office. So I can't expand in new markets unless I hire 20% more workforce to go help with that area. And then schedule changes, schedules to both employees and customers is hard. And then we don't set the field service techs up for success with product knowledge, parts, or even customer information. So these are the problems that really help Dynamics 365 help solve. Part of this, though, is for you to do a little bit of self-inspection. If you're a customer, we generally find customers fall into 3 bit buckets. And just because they're kind of aware, so the cost center right there is about 50% of the customers. Profit center is about 35%. Servitization is about 15%. So if you kind of think about the marketplace as a whole, it kind of breaks down in that order. But cost center is really, is anybody here from a telco? Any telco customers in the room? Okay, good. I can speak ill of them. Has anybody here called Comcast to get a tech out their house? You did? And how was that experience? Would you say 10 was the perfect experience and 1 was, you know, you'd never want to do it again? Where was that experience at? If we're a regular customer, it would have been a 2. Okay, so a 2. Okay. And why is that? Because they're really a cost center. So their idea is how do I maximize the efficiency of my team and minimize the cost that costs my business? Because every time I roll a tech out there, it costs me money. Now, the difference with that is profit center is really how do I create a differentiated service offering that makes my service offering different from everybody else's? And an easy example I use this is, anybody here ever go to an auto dealership? You know, my wife, you know, she has a Toyota. I mean, it's got a L badge on it, so it's a Lexus. And you walk in the Lexus dealership and they hand you, you know, a cappuccino and they go, welcome, Mr. Vollmer, here's your car, here's your loaner, you know, come about it. And I pay $600 for that. I take that same car to the Toyota dealership and it's, welcome, Ben. There's the waiting room, have a nice day. And it's $135. So what's that Lexus dealership really doing? They're really differentiating their offering. I'm paying $400 for a latte, but they're really differentiating their offering from another offering. So it's really around differentiating your offering from anybody else, because if all things are equal, price wins. So how do I differentiate my offering? And then servitization is really how do I change my business model to become outcome driven? And we'll talk about that here in a second, is around outcome driven as a whole. Outcome driven is kind of where the industry as a whole is going. Servitization is a word that does not exist in the dictionary, but I swear I didn't make it up. Servitization is what it's normally called. You can call it lots of things. And again, the example here is this is kind of the stages. And so if you're a customer, you can't go from a cost center selling a product to a servitization center in one leap. That just does not happen. You have to kind of go through a journey of getting there from top to bottom. So the example I usually use here is, again, I'm a car guy. If you remember back in the early 80s when you bought a car, it had a driveway warranty. You bought the car, when you left the dealership, you pulled off the lot, that car was no longer in warranty. And then they said, hey, we got to differentiate our new cars from our used cars. We're going to sell a warranty with the car that lasts 3 years. They're basically selling a product with spares. And then, if you remember back in the 90s, BMW and Mercedes and Audi started saying, hey, we want to differentiate this from a Buick, which wasn't hard, but we want to differentiate this from a Buick. Let's offer static maintenance contracts. So if you break your windshield wipers on a BMW, the first 3 years of ownership, they put windshield wipers on. They put everything but brakes and tires on your car, basically. So that's really a static maintenance contract. And then they moved into dynamic and condition-based contracts. And again, the example there I used, my wife drove a Chevy Suburban. It actually monitored the oil usage. So when she drove the car, she got about 9,000 miles on my oil change. I drove it, I got about 3,000 miles. I don't know why, but I have a lead foot, but that's probably why. But it actually looked at the condition of the car and said, hey, based upon how the car is being driven, you need an oil change. So it was really dynamically monitoring and offering me a service contract based upon that. And then we moved into performance-based. I take the car back to the dealership, I throw the keys across the counter, they throw me keys to a loaner car. I really have a performance-based contract. I have a car. Even though it's not mine, I have a car. Or has anybody here not used Uber or Lyft today? Okay. One guy? Really? Okay, sorry. But in that case, what am I buying? When I use an Uber or a Lyft, what am I buying? It's just, I'm getting from point A to point B. Do I care who owns the car? Do I care who the driver is? Well, sometimes I do, but for the most part, I don't really care who the driver is. I just want to make sure I get things done. So you can't go, so the thing about field services, this is more of a strategy around your business. So you can't start at just selling products today. So if your business today is selling products or selling service plans, this is how you evolve to being outcome-driven, everything as a service. But you can't go from selling products to outcome-driven in one fell swoop without significant pain to your business. But what that pain has is why. So this is actually one of our customers actually did, I stole this slide from one of our customers. One of our customers actually did a study of why they bothered making that change. There's a few here. One of my favorites is, does anybody here understand who's not in accounting, understand what days sales outstanding is? Does anybody okay, you're an accounting geek too? Yeah, okay. I'll take that. But think about this for a second. So one of my customers is a forklift manufacturer. What happens is, Kyle comes in the office, I hand Kyle a pack of dead trees, Kyle goes out and does all the work on the forklifts, returns back those dead trees to me. Now they come back covered in coffee, or Coca-Cola, or milkshake, or whatever, hamburger that guy was eating that day. Sorry, Kyle. And they come back, and it actually takes them 2 more weeks to invoice for the work. So from the time Kyle got the work order to the time he turned it back into me was 3 weeks. I then send that bill to the customer. It takes me another 30 days to get paid. Using the mobile client, I cut it down to the same day. So Kyle would go out, get a work order, get the customer's signature, click accept. I could turn the invoice out the same day. They cut their days sales outstanding by 21 days, which guess what that does to your profit margin? It goes up. Their goal was to improve their first-time fix rate to 90%. Their current first-time fix rate is about 83%. So they're looking for a 7% boost, 7 percentage points of boost in first-time fix rate. And they wanted to get 2 more service calls per month. This is where I think digital transformation, when you talk about field service, makes sense. How much is 2 service calls per month worth to the company? Let's do the math here. 2 service calls a month per tech. We have 500 techs. That's 1,000 service calls a month. At $200 a service call, we're at 20 grand a month. We're at $100,000 a year. Just for getting 2 more work orders a month out of a tech. Not a week, not a day, but in a month. So these are really kind of the reasons of why companies are making this change from cost center to profit center to servitization center, is that these have a very real impact on their financial performance. If you want to do some fun research, maybe you like to read 10Ks for fun? I'm the only guy. Okay, you do? I love reading 10Ks for fun. Go read the Rolls-Royce 10K, or the British equivalent of 10K. And do yourself a favor. Go back 5 years, read it, and then read the one they just put out in March. And ignore the Trent 1000 issues. But if you look at those two financials, the financial health of the company from a subscription model perspective is actually positively fascinating. And the story they tell in their slides are way better than what I can tell, but it's a great story to see what that actually did from an income perspective to Rolls-Royce and a profit margin perspective to Rolls-Royce. So last slide of me talking, I promised, then we're going to go to the smart guy, Kyle, to actually show a product. So why field service? First of all, it's modern. Field service products for the longest time have been baked into ERP systems. They've been baked into green screens. They don't work well mobily. We allow for field service plus customers to be able to come in and see what's going on with their work orders, understand where their technicians are, et cetera. It's unified. 65% of all call centers coming into a call center result in a field service tech needing to be dispatched. Today, currently, that's a disjointed process. I'll have a technician out to fix it as soon as I can. They have to click a button and it goes over to a field service system. It never talks back to the customer service solution. So we understand all the way from case creation or order creation all the way through completion how things work in field service. It's intelligent. Right now today, how do most technicians get dispatched? I pick the phone up and I go, my thing broke. My most frustrating thing ever is my internet home goes down, I call Comcast. We have an outage in your area. Well, you couldn't have popped a message on my phone, you couldn't send me an email, something to tell me my outage, hello. How about intelligence? So I'm now being reactive. I can say, your internet is down, I'm sending a technician out to fix it right now, so that I know what's going on. Maybe not internet, but maybe we'll talk about elevators. And then adaptable. Understand how the solution can be met for their business, whether you use in-house techs, out-of-house techs, remote appointments or on-site appointments. We help make it adaptable to the customer's needs. So with that, Mr. Young.
All right, thanks. So Ben's done a great job. All right, better? All right. Okay, so I don't know why you're trusting me with devices as I go to demo a few things here. Talking about the overall value proposition. One of the key areas that we have focused on in field service is understanding very key feedback loops. And so one of the key feedback loops that we are looking at is the loop back from the customer. And so in the past, the field service loop from customers has looked in a couple of different ways. One, the customer has they think they have an upfront idea of the schedule of service that's needed, and you put that together as a predefined schedule, and technicians go out on some schedule. But that's just based on averages and assumptions and so forth. The other feedback loop was when something bad happens or some service is needed or something, then the customer does an interrupt and says, okay, I need assistance, and then given some limited set of information, you try to figure out what that is. So we've made a lot of effort over the last couple of years. We've made some key investment around optimizing that and having a better feedback loop. And so one of the ways to do that is through IoT. So we did initial investment in IoT about a year and a half or so, almost 2 years ago, with the, let's see, a back up here, with the IoT hub capability and the solution accelerators. And that has been, that's started to enable some processes for some customers. We'd love to see much more adoption, and we hear customers saying that this needs to be easier. They'd love to hook this up to their field service operation, but we just need to make this simpler. Well, the good news is now the second approach. And so we just came out of a session with our good friends over here from IoT Central team, and they just talked about the IoT Central capability, a SaaS offering for making IoT available to mere mortals in an easy way. And that is available, it just reached general availability yesterday, it was announced. And so I want to talk a bunch about this because I think it's really important for this field service motion. The reason why is because if we think about base field service, there's some, we have some core capability, and we'll continue to invest in that, and that's important. There's some core functionality. But when we couple base field service with connected field service or with IoT, then that actually has that opportunity of actually changing that pattern and actually changing how service is offered. And then in addition, as Ben mentioned, even additional add-ons with helping the technician and changing that model with mixed reality, HoloLens Remote Assist, for example, which was announced as GA as well, or as available in the market now. Those are some important add-ons that help to change the nature of service. So let's just jump ahead and take a look at what this looks like from a demo perspective. Okay, so I'm actually going to start outside of field service. And so the first thing I want to talk about as we talk about demo today is that new feedback loop and how this can be made that much easier with IoT Central and the value of connecting field service and IoT in a service motion. So I'm going to start with IoT Central. So this is an IoT Central org. And by the way, if you haven't seen this, go back and catch the session that was shown at 10:45. and understand what's available in IoT Central, and then take 5 minutes and spin your org up and get it up and running. And so that's the first thing. And so I'm starting in IoT Central, and what I've done here, and just to show just the power of this, even a program manager can do this. I connected up an MX chip device, and this is a really cool little device you can get for a few $20 or so, readily available. And what I did is I just took minutes to be able to connect this up to the IoT Central tenant that I had set up. And so and what I'll do is I'm going to use this as my mechanism for sending signals and receiving signals. And what this exemplifies is basically any type of signal that you can think of that is going to make sense to a field service motion. And so, for example, I've got this device going here. Let's just take a look at this guy. So if I jump into my device explorer here in IoT Central, I can see a set of devices. This is the one that I actually have connected up here. And what you can see is a bunch of different measures that are coming in to this from this device. And I can actually very easily, with this time series insights, adjust what I'm looking at and so forth. And if I move this device around and so forth, and if I change the temperature, in fact, Ben's a pretty good source of hot air, for example, we'd be able to actually spike up the temperature here. So anyway, we'll simulate that. We'll see that that, for example, will spike up. And so this is just the entry point now for this set of insights that we're going to take advantage of. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire an event here. This thing has a little, a simulation of a button. And, for example, you could think of scenarios in which you actually have buttons that are used to trigger a field service process. Ben talks about an example where you instrument restrooms across your various locations. And so, it's the little thing, smiley face, yes, no, the bathroom, is it clean, not clean, service needs service, or whatever. Think of those just as IoT signals. And so you get enough IoT signals that says the bathroom has got a problem, the restroom's got a problem. You can actually use that to deploy out somebody from a field service perspective and take care of that. So think about the various scenarios that can light up. And so what I've done is I've triggered an event now based on my little trusty little device here. An event, and that event has just shown up now. You'll see that event here on the time series insights, and I'll be able to now take action on that. And so one of the beauties here, I'm again still working on the IoT Central side, is that I can actually look for interesting conditions. Not every signal is interesting from a field service perspective, but in this case, this button press, actually I've defined that as being interesting. And so I do that based on a rule that I set here in IoT Central. So I've configured up this rule, and what I've done is when there's a number of different actions you can use in IoT Central, but the rule that I've chosen is to actually send this alert and send this condition as an alert into Dynamics Field Service. And the way I do that is we've actually partnered up with the IoT Central team to create dedicated flows or flow templates that will actually send important things from IoT Central into Field Service, and then you'll see them coming back, and we'll see those coming back in a second. So if I take a look here, I can actually open this up. And so if you're not familiar with Flow, it's a great time to get familiar with Flow, because Flow is going to enable all kinds of capability between, in this case, IoT Central and Field Service, but it has hundreds and hundreds of different endpoints that you can use. And so what happens here is here's this flow. You can see that this flow triggered a minute ago because it sent that information in. And what this flow is doing is picking up this, the result of the rule here in IoT Central, so you can see what's happening on one side of it. And then I'm actually just now creating I'm going to just create a record, an IoT alert record inside of Dynamics. And as I do that, and the template makes this super easy, and I'll show you just a little more information on that in a second and how you want to do that. It makes it super easy because now I actually can populate the right fields that I care about on this IoT alert, and we're going to see that in action in just a second. So that's all been talking about outside of field service. The reason why is because this is an incredibly important feedback loop, and I wanted to show you how easy this is to enable. So let's jump over to field service now. So when I go to field service, I have a dashboard here that's part of my connected field service capability, and you can see from my dashboard, a bunch of different spikes and alerts that have come in and so forth over the last few days. This can happen natively inside of the using a dynamics dashboard. It can also take the form of, we're working to make sure that this lights up in Power BI and uses other, other analytics processes and so forth. And one of the investments we'll make is that we will strewn and make these insights available throughout the product. So here's that alert that came in. We can take a look at that alert. And what I see when I get that alert is I get a bunch of key information. And so if at just a basic level, all I'm doing is just looking, first of all, to just see what I can about that alert. There's a bunch of information that can come from IoT Central. And I have that available now right inside the context of Dynamics. But there's even more valuable context here. So this is a device that actually is connected to this customer asset. So I have a piece of machinery, or I have something that I care about, and I have the life cycle view of this asset. I know when it was installed, I can see the service history on it and so forth. In fact, I see related work orders here. And what's happened is I've used Dynamics workflow to trigger, when it sees this alert, it says, okay, if it's a certain type of alert or a certain condition on that alert, I need to create a work order, and I should go schedule that work order, because those are capabilities that are all available inside of the field service offering and leveraging Dynamics workflow. So in this case, you can see that actually a work order has been created. So here's the work order that goes with that customer asset, and you can see their various work order history. So I'm going to go to the work order that was created, and I can then see the type of incident that has been set for this work order. That tells me that's a standardization of work. It tells me the type of work that needs to be done. And what that has done is it's expanded out into the service tasks that I need to perform. It's set the duration and so forth. And so it's going to actually tell the scheduling system even what skill set of technician is needed to actually perform this. And so again, this is all something that in the past would have had to have been discovered through, some sort of interrupt, some phone call, something like that. Now, nobody has actually touched this at this point, right? This has all happened just based on configuration and workflow processes based on this stream of intelligence that I have flowing out into field service. Now, think about how you can start to change up that model. Okay, so I've got this work order created, and if I go over here to my trusty schedule board, and I'm going to come back and we'll spend a little more time talking about some of the core elements of field service. But this is the schedule board, and you'll notice that something that's happened on the schedule board right here, an hour after this alert came in, this booking has been set for this technician to actually go perform the work. And so you can see the various details about this technician and what their day looks like and so forth. And so we'll come back and talk a little bit more about the core functions of field service and what I do about scheduling and that kind of thing. But the whole point is that now I've actually taken that smart signal, done something intelligent with that, have a response to it, and actually I have a solution on the way. Now, let's just say that I need, I want to have broader visibility on that. So if I go back to IoT Central, for example, and I go back to this device, and I'm cruising this device, and one of the capabilities you can create for sets of devices is to create a dashboard. And so if I'm a technician, or if I'm an operator, or somebody who needs to actually understand what's going on with this device, I can actually go do this. Because, again, we saw the time series insights here. You can see what's happening. You can see the analysis of what's going on. You can see, all the different measures and what's happening there. But if I go to the dashboard, I see this key information. And notice here at the bottom, there's also some key information. Since this rule has fired, and we think that there's some work that needs to be done on this device, I actually have the status that has come back from field service. And so now I've actually passed that back. And again, I've just used flow to pick up the fact that I've got this new booking based on this alert that came in. I know what device it was. I know what's happening. I can actually send a status back. So this status actually, while I was rambling on up here, this alert fired and the work order was created, the booking was created, it actually sent that status back. So now I see that back in IoT Central. So now we can see, again, we've basically closed the loop on this. And so I can check on this, and then as the device is serviced and the work order is completed and so forth, I can obviously change that status. I can update that. And the way that this was accomplished is these are simply properties that exist in IoT Central. It just built by, I can just build those by hand. I add a few properties just using a builder experience, and I configured this in Flow using a builder experience, and now I simply update those properties based on the action that has been that we've taken over on the field service side. So let me just pause for there. What do you think? Make sense? Any value? Okay. All right. We're pretty excited about this. And so one of the reasons that it's very exciting, and I can't emphasize this enough, and I go on and on about it every time I talk to somebody about the possibilities around field service. With our coupling now with IoT Central, there's really no excuse not to get started. So as you're looking at using field service and you start to deploy field service, IoT Central makes it easy enough and approachable enough and within reach that it's very easy to be able to get started by starting to connect up devices, starting those flows into field service and so forth. And so I highly, highly encourage starting to get on that and actually starting to make that happen. And if you're doing something like that and you'd like to talk about it, please ping me, find me on LinkedIn, and let's talk about that. So I'd love to have that discussion. And so one of the things that we have published along with the IoT Central general availability, if you go out to docs.microsoft.com, you'll find a section now on connected field service for IoT Central. You'll find the overview on how it works. You'll find a tutorial on how to basically wire up what I've just demonstrated for you, and you can do it in a much better way. You'd be much more impressive than I was, but you're only minutes away from being able to pull all that together. So that, and we've updated some pieces of connected field service. We actually have an update out there, so if you're already running field service and have connected field service installed, if you've been using that, go grab the update. And we actually add pieces that make this flow with IoT Central that much better. And you can actually see this in action. We've got demo data to make it work. We've got the steps to take, and you can get this thing flowing in a very easy way. So I highly encourage that. So with that, I will wrap up this section, and we will pop back to see some of the other investments that we've been making over the last few months. Okay, so again, enabling this feedback loop is really an exciting piece of it. But we have to have the other pieces to make this all work. So the good news is we do have a good, robust offering that manages these various pieces of field service. Understanding what your demand is, and that's really key and very important. And IoT can actually help feed that, because that can help be an indicator of when work is required. Planning the work. And that drops into the scheduling system, and then you can see how scheduling actually works. Enabling technicians and making them effective and empowering them. That's a really key area, and we're going to make and continue to make key investments in that area. Having ways that customers can engage. Of course, IoT is one of those things, but also having portals and tracking your technicians where they're at and so forth, having that relevant history, that's all key, as well as analysis and integration. And we're going to continue to make important investments in terms of analytics and analysis and so forth, so you can start to draw insights out of all that's happening. And the one thing we'll be able to marry together is the fact that you have operational history with real-time flow of information coming from IoT. That's going to be a key part of the offering going forward. So we call it spring, but we were later in the spring wave. So in August, we released the latest version of field service. Now, who here is familiar with the Dynamics field service at this point? Okay, some level of familiarity. All right, so up to this point, field service has been on the web UX, and now with the August release, it's available on the unified interface. And I'll show you some more examples of unified interface here in a moment. But just the key is that this is out there and is now available. Now, a little bit of a caveat, so that there is not unintended disruption, the current version of field service, or the new version of field service on unified interface, if you've had trouble finding that, has anyone here had trouble finding the latest version that's interested in it? Okay, that's good. You haven't had the problem. Just as a reminder of where you find that, there's actually an insider program that you opt into, and then once you've opted into that, it turns on, and then you can install the latest version of field service. We wanted to be careful so we didn't have unintended installs or unintended upgrades and some disruption there. But that's now out there, and available, and you can see where it is on the insider portal and I can show that to you if you need to see that. But there's some new experiences. I'll show you some of these things. We've done some upgrades to the schedule board. We've done some upgrades to the mobile app and so forth. So that's what's been happening over that last release. Some other things that we've also added. We've also, for RSO, it's been available for a while, but if you're not aware, we have extensible scope and what if analysis. The first installment with what if. We're going to do more of that in the fall, but that's now available, and I'll talk to that. And then we've actually done some other investment around IoT that's going to bear benefits over time, having categories and commanding and syncing with digital twin on IoT Hub. So let's just take a look at what some of those features look like. All right, so this is just a reminder. Here's what the Insider program looks like to go ahead and light up the latest version of field service. Okay, so if we go back over here to our trusty schedule board, one of the key aspects to think about, or I always like to remind people when we talk about field service, and the schedule board helps to exemplify this, is basically there are three things that come together here as we visualize the schedule board. So the first thing here on the bottom are requirements or work orders. That's the demand side of the equation. I need someone to perform this type of work at this location on this time frame and so forth, and that comes in as a requirement. So you can see things that are unscheduled requirements here in the bottom of the schedule board. And then on the middle axis of the schedule board here, you can see the resources. So these are the resources with their skill set and their capacity and their work hours and so forth. And that represents basically the supply or the resource side of this. And then bookings are the intersection where you basically match requirements with actual resources in a given time slot. And that's what a schedule looks like. So it's important to kind of keep those aspects in mind. So the schedule board, and this is all now, what I'm demoing is this all working in unified interface. Now the schedule board itself looks fairly similar because it's a fairly specialized control, so it's going to look largely similar to what it's looked in the past. But there are some changes. So of course you can drag and drop, you can drag requirements on the schedule board that way. You can use the schedule assistant, which will set the filters and help you to find appropriate slots for bookings. And then we can also use automated scheduling or resource scheduling optimization, and I'll show what that looks like here in a few minutes. One of the views that we've added to the schedule board is this grid view. And the beauty here and some of the motivation behind this view, first of all, it's much better from an accessibility standpoint than the purely visual view. So you can perform all the same functions and have all the same information, but this is in a more grid-like or more laid out form, and so there's different advantages of using this view. So just to highlight that that's one of the capabilities we've added with this release. So some of the other, let's just take a little bit at the look and feel. So who here is Unified Interface? Are you new to Unified Interface? Have you seen much of it? Everybody's already seen it? Pretty? Okay. All right. So this is just the new navigation pattern, and you can see the basic new look and feel. Here's what we looked at this earlier. Here's what a work order looks like. And we have navigation through tabs instead of the scrolling that we had in the past and so forth. So that just kind of gives an idea of what the solution looks like on Unified Interface. Some other additions that we've made in this release. Let me go here. I'm going to switch over. Oh, here we go. I already have it. Here we go. Another one is looking at customer assets. So one of the areas of feedback that we hear is that we need to have richer content for technicians. And so we've augmented the ability now to have 3D content that's attached to a customer asset, or you could attach it to other places as well, but we've just chosen to attach that here, and so you can actually have three-dimensional models that are shown. And I'm actually going to show this on the mobile, but you can see where it ties up, and it shows up as part of, as a customer asset.
And just, I think Kyle said something I just want to call out for a second. The 3D model, if you do it anywhere else in Dynamics too, so customer service or sales or anything like these 3D models are built so you can relate them back to any other object in Dynamics as well. So this is something that, while Kyle Steve built it for field service, I see some pretty cool uses for it in SFA or customer service as well going forward.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. Okay, and then you can't overstate the importance of mobility from a field service perspective. So this is how you empower technicians, and it even is key, as Ben points out, to reducing days sales outstanding, and so forth, because we arm the technician with the right information, hopefully increase or pursuant to increasing first-time fix rate. We're also capturing the details of that service right on site, so there's much prompter action to be able to take care of what the follow-on. So here we've actually restyled and we've updated, and there's an updated version coming of the app in the next few days. It'll actually be available out in the stores, and it's been a refreshed version of the app. We've also refreshed the template and improved the styling and so forth. So you can see what it looks like. Here are the set of bookings that are available for this technician, for example. We also have lit up the 3D capability. Here's that, the one I showed you online. And so, very simply here, I can now have a much richer view for the technician. So you can see, basically a 3D view. You can see what the assembly sequence would look like and so forth. And it makes it very easy to attach this kind of information and just make this available to the technician. There's an entire session tomorrow at this same time, I believe, on field service and the mobile aspects and mixed reality aspects and so forth. And so one of the guys on my team is helping to drive that session, and so you'll learn a lot from that session. If you want to join that, there'll be a much more exhaustive drill down into the mobile side of things. Okay, so let's go back and talk scheduling some more. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my schedule board, and I'll get back to the original view that I was using. And on the top of this schedule board, this is basically what you might, an inexperienced dispatcher like myself, I put the schedule board together manually. I'm a little bit proud of it, but I realize that we probably could have done a little bit better job, right? There's a bit of blank spaces here and some time left on the table and so forth. So that's where resource scheduling optimization comes in. So the bottom part of the schedule board, I've actually scheduled and set up, and RSO has been maintaining this part of the schedule board. So for example, I can run that on a nightly basis, and it's going to be the title that it will come up with. These are the travel times, these little marks here indicate the travel times for the jobs. And so if we're doing a good job, like Ben pointed out, driving around in a star pattern, there's a much better opportunity here of having this reduced travel time. So you can see a really tight travel time. You can see, that I'm using a good portion of my day. You see good schedules. Some of these technicians are able to do 4 jobs, some are able to do 3, and so forth. And Ben pointed out the value of just getting that next incremental job. If you can add one more job per whatever your period of choice, you can see the value of doing that. And so this has been done through RSO. So let's take a look a little bit at what I've set up and how that works. If we go back to the 3 aspects of scheduling, we'll take a look at, first of all, the scope. So one of the things that's important to tell the optimizer is, okay, what scope should I be working on? And as I mentioned earlier, you've got requirements or demand, you've got resources or your capacity, and then you've got bookings. And so quite often when RSO runs, there will be existing bookings for a variety of reasons. And you need to be able to express to RSO what of those 3 aspects I should be looking at. And so one of the things that we've added during this spring wave, or this April wave, is to express those using a view. Just a dynamics view. So in the past, there was a fairly rudimentary capability, but now you've actually got the ability to express this through a set of views. So for example, I just picked up I've got my trusty little view here. Yeah, here's my view for resource requirements. And so, if you're familiar with views, you know that it's fairly simple to be able to create a set of, to create a view, put whatever selection criteria you want in the view and so forth, and then you get the results from that. And so you have all the flexibility of creating a view, and that's the way that you express these inputs into resource scheduling.
So an example that would be then, Kyle, if I had a work orders that got canceled, so the customer's a no-show,
yep.
I can create a view of just no-show work orders and only optimize the no-show work orders. They're trying to optimize the entire schedule, so only the technicians that are impacted by that no-show get more data, not the entire schedule board gets rearranged because of that no-show.
Exactly. Yep, and I'm going to show you something that we're doing for fall that even extends that even further. So a lot of flexibility here. And then the other aspect of RSO is determining with that input, what are the business objectives I'm trying to accomplish? In other words, what are the goals I'm trying to achieve? And so the way to do that is to express a set of constraints and objectives. And so, we have, basically, if you're familiar with RSO, we're continuing to use a very similar pattern for constraints and objectives. And this is an area where we'll continue to make investments to be able to have additional objectives and so forth and make those goals richer. So those are kind of the two important aspects you feed into RSO, and then RSO runs, and you can either run RSO on a scheduled basis, you can set a schedule, or you can run it on an on-demand, and you can even call it through an action. So you can have workflow that detects, for example, I have some no-shows, and it triggers RSO to actually run based on those no-shows. So that's the capability of RSO to this point. What I want to do is pop in for a moment and just show you some pre-release capability that we're working on for fall. And so one of the areas that we hear a lot of good feedback on that would be great to have, you say, well, it's great to run things overnight and it's great to have some predefined schedules, but what happens when I just have a single technician that I need to go to do optimization on? So we've actually added that. We call it single resource optimization. So in this case, you can see here that for whatever reason, poor Matthew here, his schedule has gotten kind of hosed up for whatever reason. Probably I was messing with it. Or there could have been emergencies, or who knows. You can see here the jobs with their various priorities and so forth that are already scheduled here on the schedule board. So what we've enabled this ability, I'll pop this out just so you can see what's happening. But you basically have this ability now, when I select a single resource, it tells RSO, okay, you're looking at this single resource. I'm going to default to the rest of today. If you don't want to go re-optimize the rest of today, that would be an area. And there's a default goal. So you actually define a goal that RSO will work with. And of course, you can change what that default looks like. So in this case, what I can do is I can just simply say from the schedule board here, optimize schedule. So I click on that. This pre-release version has been taking a few seconds to run, so I'm not going to belabor the point too much. I'll jump back in. We'll come back to take a look at that. But it gives the ability to just be able to optimize a single resource. So that's actually quite powerful because now you have a lot of different scenarios in which you actually might want to just go fix up a schedule for just a specific resource. Okay. Yes, you do. Yep, good question. Question is, do you need the RSO license? And the answer is yes. Those would show up as schedulable, as resources that could be scheduled by RSO. So it's a good question. Okay, so last area I wanted to talk about is a little bit more investment that we've made on the IoT front in terms of being able to take action and have the appropriate actions. So in the past, we didn't have any way of categorizing devices or having common capability across devices. And so we've now added device categories. So I've got a category that I've defined here. And it has some aspects that, by defining it, the category can now apply to all devices that are within that category. So for example, command definitions. And so I can define a set of commands that I can actually send back to this class of devices. And this has been working with IoT Hub in the past, and this is something we're working with IoT Central. They will be lighting up the commanding capability so that we'll be able to trigger commands back from field service to flow, and that'll be coming in the near future. As soon as it's available on the IoT side, we'll have a flow template for it, so you can actually send commands back. Things that you can actually do today on the IoT Central or IoT Hub is to update device properties. And so in this case, this is a property that's a target temperature for the device. And so you can define that, as well as just tags. Things like a building number. The device itself might not know or care what building it's in, but it's important at the metadata level to understand that. So if I go back, I have a device for which I've actually defined this. And if I take a look at this device, you can see here, you can see on the device that I actually have the properties and commands available for that device because it's part of the category. Okay, I'll see if I can get that back here. It looks like I created a new one. All right. Try again. Okay, here we go. So what you can see is I have the properties now that belong to that category, like the target temperature in the building. Those are now available, and I actually can set different values. So for example, I can just set this as a certain building. I can set this to Advanta B. And what happens now is then these could actually be synchronized to IoT Central, because you can have properties on IoT Central, or they can synchronize with the device twin capability of IoT Hub. So if I pop over here quickly, I can go to IoT Hub. And so what I've done is I've just gone to the IoT Hub that happens to be connected with this field service organization. You can see now that I have that same device, that HVAC Unit 2 that was defined over in field service. That's defined here in my IoT Hub. And if I open this up, and if I look at the device twin for it, you can now see that I have the same properties, and those are actually maintained those are actually synced up. So you can see that same building. I have a tag here that's over on the IoT Hub side, and that's actually been synced up. And so this is a functionality that can work with either IoT Hub or IoT Central. But the point being now is that we have more intelligence around this class of devices, and it gives me more options in terms of taking action and so forth. So
Kyle skipped over, by the way. My favorite new feature, by the way,
yeah, go ahead.
Geeky. If you look at what he just showed around the device twins and field service.
Here we go.
The JSON view. So currently today, everything in IoT Hub and IoT Central is all JSON based. And so if you're a business person, using JSON might as well be using HTML or some other weird language. So what Kyle's team has actually built into here the ability to switch this to JSON view so that the business user can actually see the values from the JSON file there, change them and update them, and it actually saves it as JSON. So they look like fields to them, but they're actually JSON in the background. So this is, for me, one of the coolest things of the custom control framework. They just renamed to Power Apps Control Framework. For this is one of the coolest new features that Kyle's team used to show some custom features here that I think is really neat.
Yeah, excellent.
Sorry, Kyle.
No, I'm glad, and you can see that Ben gets happy over, over some of the coolest things that we've done. So that's a good.
The hard stuff, nah. That easy thing, yeah, I like that.
Doesn't take you much to make him happy. So, all right. Well, that's a little bit around the product. Of course, we have an exhaustive set of release notes for both the spring as well as the fall release coming up. That's just in the very, just weeks away now. So with that, let's just wrap up with a little bit of what we're looking at in the fall. So from a field service perspective, we'll be lighting up the following things. We will enable a crew capability so that the scheduling system will actually understand, and from the schedule board, you can actually visualize a crew and assign bookings to a crew, a group of resources. We will be adding entitlement and SLA capability so that you can express the set of entitlements for a customer. Some of those may have an SLA related, some of them may not. But then throughout the process, understand to what is the customer entitled, and when you ultimately get to a billing situation, making sure that the billing reflects the things that to which they were entitled. Also integration with finance and operations. It's been available out there for a little while. We've had some recent updates to this, but it basically allows tying up the key entities or the key capabilities in field service, like work orders, mapping to sales orders, so you can do invoicing on finance and ops. It has a tie-in for inventory, so that you can then say, okay, I have a bunch of truck parts and I consume them and use those, but as appropriate, and not every transaction per se, but as appropriate, I can actually sync up between the inventory I know about in field service and then to F&O, where I track from that perspective and I cost it and so forth. Then with connected field service, IoT, the IoT central connection we talked about, that's actually been released. Technician productivity, you've probably seen with some of the main stage demos, the keynotes, the mixed reality remote assist. One thing, if it's not clear, that's a great add-on app for, for business applications. There is, if you're using field service, that lights up with core field service information. And so that app actually has an awareness of field service. And so if you got your field service in org running there, when you connect up and when you authenticate, it actually will work with field service. So you know which work order you're on and the details of the work order and so forth. That's all visible in the headset, all a part of what's happening there. As well, our application, the field service mobile application, also runs on HoloLens. Come tomorrow to the session. Tomorrow you'll see that in action. And so a technician who's using that remote assist experience, right here, they can just look over here and you have the field service mobile app running and you have all the details you need to actually do that. We're adding push notifications and background geo-tracking for the technician in the mobile app in the fall, as well as conversational or hands-free experiences. And so you'll be able to see these things in action as well. But the whole notion here is that a technician will be able to say, via the mobile app, show me my next booking, and it'll bring it up. It makes it easy to go grab directions, or it makes it easy to change your status, change my status to traveling. Those are all going to be available through a bot and a voice control hands-free experience. So with optimization, I showed you a little bit about single resource optimization, and we will be adding additional capability in RSO around what-if analysis and richer UI and analytics around that, so that as you're putting your schedules together, you can actually tune those correctly so you're meeting your business objectives. With universal resource scheduling, we will enable informed scheduling. So for example, through the customer support experience, right in that experience, you may want to have Schedule Assistant run and pop and give you suggestions as to where to book this call that you realize is going to need a work order. And so that capability will be available. In addition, we'll have Power App that sample for resource availability and booking as well. It's just kind of thinking about different endpoints into the same scheduling capability, same scheduling functionality through informed scheduling or through Power Apps, just some other ways of tying in. So with that, that's enough. That's a bunch about functionality. Ben is going to take us home from here.
Okay, thank you, sir. So where do you start for field service and connected field service? It really starts depending on where you're at today. So if you're a cost center today, the field service app itself may be useful to you. You also may want to look at what you need to IoT enable and what your existing environment is. So what are you currently running for ERP? Do you currently making IoT investments? How do you marry those up? So it's really kind of depends, where you start today kind of depends on where you currently are. And so I would currently look at the kind of organization you are and what you currently have and how you need to operate from a field service perspective, and then start with which one of those levers is going to give you the most leverage. So some of our customers start with IoT, some start with field service, some do both at the same time depending on what their needs are. An example, by the way, of this, this is actually probably one of my favorite examples. Has anybody here been to Kuwait? Anybody been to Kuwait in the room? One. Okay, that's right. You have been to Kuwait. So when you go to Kuwait as a visitor, you go in the visitor visa. You in the airport. You go. There's a kiosk there. You put some money in. You hit a button, and it spits out a stamp. You put the stamp on your passport. You walk over, and they stamp your passport. And welcome to Kuwait. That's right there is run by 3 different telco companies in Kuwait. So 3 companies run those kiosks in the airport. One of the companies is one of our customers called Swiftel. They're actually a fairly small operation. There's about 60 technicians at Swiftel. So this is not a massive multi-million-dollar or multi-billion-dollar endeavor. This is a fairly small field service organization. What they did today, what they used to do was they used to do what I call a milk run. They would start at machine 1. I would assign these machines, and I would just kind of run around the machines I had to service and come back to the beginning at the end of the day. I'd finish up, and I'd start the next morning back where I started again. What that led to was a 24-hour delay between the time I found a piece of equipment was broken, because here's what happens. You guys know this, right? I go up to the machine, I put the button, and technician leaves. Next guy comes up, hits the button, and no stamp. And I call and go, your machine broke, it took my money. It takes 24 hours for that technician to come back around because they're doing the milk run. So what was happening is they're blowing their SLA with their customer, the government. They had to actually manually coordinate, and they had no idea where the technicians were. So what they actually did was they actually did all this here. So in doing this, lots of things to go about. They had no idea what the equipment was, whether it was up or whether it was down, who was using it, what was using it, what was going on. They didn't even know what piece of equipment was failing on which basis, because most of the pieces of equipment they were replacing were fairly inexpensive. They were printer cartridges, they were rollers for cash, they were nickel and dime parts, if you will. So they didn't even know what was actually breaking to cause these problems. They had no idea what their technicians were doing. So what they actually did was that was their before status. Their current status is now the equipment. So those kiosks run on Windows 10 PC. So don't always think of IoT as these micro, these MX chips like Kyle showed. Sometimes IoT is big devices. This is actually a Windows 10 PC embedded in there. They sent 54 different alerts. So depending on what had gone wrong, did the printer jam? Did the cash drawer jam? Did the cash acceptor jam? Did the printer run out of ink? There's 54 different types. That's all they started off with. And it literally comes into field service as an alert, and automatically with no dispatcher at all, it dispatches a technician to go fix it. What happened was their out of time went from 24 hours to 2 to 3 hours. And they actually were able to trim multiple headcount out of their supervisor level, because they no longer had to have supervisors going, where are you, Kyle? What are you doing, Kyle? Where are we at, Kyle? Are we there yet? So now we were able to auto-dispatch, and then we were able to identify what product failure was actually happening. So now they know if the printer is failing, we should probably try into a different printer. If the dollar bill acceptor is breaking, what do we need to do there differently? So really they went from a very disjointed digital feedback loop where nothing was talking to anything else to now, and this project, by the way, actually kind of surprised. I got a call from one of Kyle's team members going, hey, hear this customer? I'm like, no, and we had to go digging to find the customer. They went live in about 60 days with this. Literally from the time they started talking about the time we went live, IoT, field service, and RSO in about 60 days with very little help actually at all. I think they called Fei for 2 or 3 little, hey, how do we do this? And that was about it. So the cool thing here is the customer went live in a very short period of time and really helped reduce their outage. They went from the last place in the government contract to the first place in the government contract strictly because of the way that RSO and field service were helping, and IoT, connected field service were helping dispatch their technicians to get things fixed faster. So field service really helps the end-to-end scenario. It really helps with a couple things. One is the agent experience, the technician experience, what they're doing in the field. What you see is really about empowering those technicians. Give them more power, give them more data, give them the ability to do things, and then give them prescriptive guidance on how to fix things when they get out there. It's really about making your operations more intelligent. And lastly, it's about helping you take your business to the next level. How do I change from a cost center to a profit center to an outcome or servitization-based center? And really, Connected Field Service helps do that from an end-to-end basis.
All right, just a little public service announcement here. We would love, if you're passionate about field service, and who isn't, we would love to have you participate. So if you follow this link, you can be an influencer and help us with our user experience, help us improve the product and so forth. Jump on this link. Our researchers would just be thrilled. If you want a card on this, I've got cards. Come on up and grab a card from me, and you can be an influencer. All right.
So we got 5 minutes.
With that, please give us feedback, and I guess we got any time for questions. A few minutes, I guess. The latest version, and it literally within the next day or two. Just to be really precise about this, it's all ready and it's ready to go. We just need to push the button for Android. We're having some fun with our friends at Apple, trying to get that app refreshed on where they have new requirements that we haven't seen before. They're kind of changing their models, so we're a little stuck on the iOS side, but Android will be there. It's ready to go. We'll probably push the button this week. And it is the latest version, and we will stay current with the RESCO capability in the field service mobile app. So that's a great question. All right, other questions? Yeah, the question is there a plan for more scheduling capability, for example, around different skill levels? And the answer is yes. That actually, I should have highlighted that. You can actually, RSO will now recognize not only skill, but competency within the skill. So you can actually set that to say, okay, they need to be not just have this skill, but they need to be proficient or expert or whatever, those defined levels that you have.
And fairly quickly here, the talent application Microsoft makes is getting enabled for us to be able to grab the certifications and skills off of a technician's HR record and pull it in Dynamics. So I've done it before, demo with other LMS systems, so basically tying in LMS. So talent ties into LMS, so we can actually track this LMS class and talent relates back to this skill. So as I take a class or get certified in something, it's tracked on my HR profile, which then field service then uses to build the skills profile off of the resources. Yes. We can talk about it. We've done this offline. We've done it with either with specific assets or even like job sites where sometimes you have to be inducted into a job site, so you have to go through a safety certification, you have to have top secret clearance, or you have to be able to jump backwards or whatever it is in the job site. You have the job site as well as the asset level.
Yeah. Good question. Yes. Yeah, the question is how complete is the integration with FinOps at this point? At this point, we think we have the key areas covered. So we don't have a lot of backlog there, but we'd love to get feedback as you start to take advantage of that.
I think there's 6 releases total scheduled. I think we're at least 3 or 4 of the. I mean, they've mapped out. Christian's team has mapped out 6 total kind of milestones, and then the last 3 are fairly. It's things like purchase orders and field service mapping back to field purchase orders in finance and operations, which again, I think that's more of a fringe scenario than something we see every day. So it's less of a customers got to have it every day type of things. What I'm seeing now.
Yeah. So give it a try. All right. Other questions?
Questions, Kyle.
All right. All right. Well, thank you very much for attending, and love to hear about your implementations.